Hi, and welcome to the Ascension Playground.
Hello.
Hello, we have a playmate today, Nancy Jean
Mhm.
with Nancy Jean's Garden. Um, we've known each other now for about a year and a half and
Mhm.
feel so excited to share a little bit from the sandbox today.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Sandbox is full of tiny little crystals.
I know. So one of the things with the playground is like we bring our inner child forward, and oh my gosh, I've had so much fun learning from you
Mhm.
about crystals, about grids, about how when you put them together, magic
Mhm.
can happen, and wow. So we're here to just play and just share briefly. Um, my grid that you made for me in January of 2021, and I'm sharing it. Here it is. And Nancy, I got to tell you, you taught me how to fire it up, but I do it every day. And magic has happened as I fire this grid up. Hmm, I think I'm going to pause there and allow you to share anything about how special, like what got you into making these amazing grids.
Um, well, the way I started making crystals grids is I ran into them in Colorado, and they would sell these little wooden frames, and they had sort of universal shapes on it, and they were doing crystals on it. But what I'd like to do is point out on your crystal grid is called change, and I will show a picture of change when we're not looking at the grid. And the interesting thing about this is normally if you've ever gotten a grid from me, you know these are all those are sodalite. Um, the blue stones there, and then there's the fluorite in the middle. Okay. And around the edge, or on the closest ring to the center, there's always a center stone. For the most part, there's a few forms that don't have center stones, and we'll talk about how we pick the form. But yours is change, and what your change is all these stones are the same. This one's different. All these stones are the same. This one's different. So energy is breaking away, and then you ended up with five stones that were different. This outer edge one, yeah, the fluorite, then the orange one up in the top, the carnelian, I think. I'd have to look. And then in the ring of the bright red ones that are there's a little fluorite, I think, also on that, the little clear
Yeah.
fluorite, and the
Yep.
outer ring, the outermost
Yep.
ring.
Yep. And this one
Okay.
too. Yep.
Yeah. And then, yeah. And and there's another fluorite. And then I think all the rest of them for you were fluorites. And I'm sorry, I don't have the sheet in front of me, and I'm looking at them on a flat image. So, but, and the way the grid works is you start with the center stone and you go out with your wand, and you go out to the first row, and you touch the center stone to a stone, stone to a stone, and you do that all the way around till you get them all sort of connected to the center stone. Then you do it with the second round of stones, and repeat that for the third round of stones. And even when you have the odd colored stone in this one, you hit it because it's part of that row. It's part of understanding change. And then you have the two that are furthest out, the ones that are outside the margins. And when, let's see,
And this is a
if I,
Lemurian wand, right? This is a Lemurian crystal. And
right,
I'm
right.
getting the,
Mm-hmm,
it's like a little
mm-hmm.
magic wand.
It's a little magic wand. And I send different wands with different grids for different reasons. And I explain all that stuff to you. And I give you also a sense of the numbers, because change is change, but you're breaking out of a given set pattern. So this would have been normally six stones. It's six stones, but one's different. And this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12. This would be 12 stones, and it's got one that's different. And then you go out and you go by the numerology, and that's also on the back of your grid is an explanation of each one of these stones, why I chose it, what it means. Can you flip it without messing the world up?
Well, I I think
Did you take your
I
paper
I
off?
I taped, I have it at my front door. I taped my intention so this is my little
Okay.
secret intention, but I do have the grid because I bought this in January of 2021. So
Hmm.
one of my questions is there a time limit to the grid, or can I use it for the rest of my life?
No, you can use it forever, and I'll show you why if we can cut to my other camera. Okay, you're gonna have to make me
I'll
big. You're gonna
stop
have to make us
share. There
gallery.
you
Okay,
are. Look, there's Nancy.
this grid
Oh, look at this.
is the original grid I made, and the stones have moved because unlike Ursula's, mine I can change it. But and I didn't glue them down when I started making grids because I wasn't sending them all over everywhere. Obviously, this would not make it through the U.S. mail. But and I changed the center stone. My original grid, it was selenite, and now I use this pyramid of chakra colors. And I have 4 stones that are pyrite, which is a grounding stone and a prosperity stone. I have 4 stones of adventuring. And then I have kyanite, these little strips, they connect energy. And you can see I moved it from my desktops, so from my top of my chest. And then there's this is tourmaline, which is a grounding stone for it. And my wand is in here.
You've got grids stacked on top of each other.
Oh yeah, I'm going to show the other grids too.
Yeah,
so
you send them
this
out.
is my wand, and you can see the problem of them being loose. Things move around a lot, but I couldn't change this. But I have a rutilated quartz. This came from Brazil. We can't get rutilated quartz right now that's built like this because they closed the mines in Brazil because of COVID. But you can, and when I built this grid, I did it in February of 2008. And I had a whole list of friends, and this whole grid is designed for prosperity.
That's beautiful.
It's got,
well,
let
me pause. I think we need, if you don't mind, let me share the screen with the activation oracle deck that you use. So when you said mine was made with the number 5, let me just show the box lid.
Mm-hmm.
This is, if anyone listening just loves shopping for card decks. Nancy, you sent me over here, Sacred Geometry Activation Oracles by Lon, Lon. And in this deck, Nancy and I did a reading, and she took the cards, did a reading, and then pulled a card for me and my energy. And then she'll build a grid for you if you decide to do a reading based on the card she pulls, sometimes using the geometry underneath, or sometimes just using the color. I don't know if that's a little too out of focus, but so when you say you're using change for me, it was from this card deck. And I bought the deck because I wanted to go deeper into the message of the grid you made for me, so I could go like, okay, how to hold the space for the year, or plus, embracing change and transformation, the number 5.
5 is the number of change. And I use these definitions. I can find them. Okay. When I have one stone in there, that's the beginning. And usually there is a center stone, although I do have grids that do not have center stones because the message from that grid is like a wider or different message. 2 stones are duality and balance. 3 stones stands for generating the energy by uniting forces. 4 stones is foundations and structures, the basic 4 elements. 5 stones is change and dynamic action, which was the center of your grid. 6 stones is harmony, appreciation, and love. And as you remember, I said there were 6 stones, but you have 5 stones breaking out. So you've got harmony, appreciation, and love, and then you have these other 5 stones pulling you further than that. 7 stones is wholeness, perfection, and spirituality. 8 stones are manifestation, practicality, and organization. 9 stones are completion, endings, and transitions. And those follow those follow basically my understanding of numerology, which, as I was explaining to Ursula, when I teach tarot, the first class I do is in numerology. And I teach people how to do their life path, how to do their soul urges, how to do their outer self, and how to do their inner self. And everybody does their own, and they're like, oh God, this really works. And so then what they do the whole next week is they go home and they start doing their boyfriends, their girlfriends, their spouses, their kids, their parents, anybody
Yeah.
they got a birthday for. And so when they come back the next week, they've got 1 through 9 down. And if you've got 1 through 9, and I consider the 10th card like it's a combination between the 9 and the 1, it's a transition card. But if you do that, and Tarot's got 72 cards, you've got half the deck. You know it once you match it with the suit. And so I was really very aware of numerology. So when we started looking at these forms in the grids, it works. Now I'll show you, I yesterday built a whole bunch of grids because I finally have gotten well enough from having had COVID to have the energy to be able to work with the stones and be able to stand the transfer of energy. So I'm going to show you the 4 grids I made, and I'm going to show you the card that was the basis of that grid. And so I'm going to go back to my other camera. People are used to this on my channel.
Look how beautiful. Look at that.
This is Union. Let me see. So it looks right on here. Union. And you can see I've got the 3 stones in the middle, the 1 lighter bit that's in there. I found these beautiful pieces of coral to connect them. And then if you look at this, the background behind the real union was pink. And I'm not an artist. I'm not going to paint all this blue. So the way I made the blue or outer edge is I put these moon shapes. And then it's got rhodochrosite, which is a wonderful transition stones. So that's union. The next one's really bright.
Wow, look at that.
And it's supposed to be this way because this is the center. And this one is called integration. And when you see the card, you'll understand what it looks like it looks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, but actually, when you go out, you tap off both of these and you go out in the circle, and it has kind of orangey in the middle. So I put some carnelian on top of this. Is called yellow dyed magnesite, and I use a yellow, a blue, and a purple. This is a stained kind of jasper. Wow. And I found it's really, I messed with it for a while to see if I wanted to work with it, because I'm not in love with dyed stones, and these, and if it's a dyed stone, I'll let you know, but it really works with this. See, that's the same image. And this is a cat's eye agate. If you've never seen cat's eye agates, they're agates that when they polish them up, they find the 2 different colors and it makes like a cat's eye. And this has triangular for communication, triangular carnelians. And the message of integration is the frequency of integration supports the embrace of every aspect of ourselves, allowing that we perceive positive and that when we perceive negative to harmonize in the symphony of our life.
Wow. Well,
So
I could look at your grids all day long. I'm going to pop back over to the one you made me because
right.
I forgot to say something really important, that the foundation that you created as an artist, playing with stones of color and the energy of the stones, is the shape, the sacred geometry shape of the toroid. So that's this circulating, everything's going out from a center, but then it comes back. And so the base of this, how sacred geometry is holding my grid from a year ago. And then looking back, I'm going to move back to your screen where we're seeing now, Nancy Jane, you've created a new sacred geometry that was channeled through you from the garden. So that's a big evolution though, right? To go from known sacred geometries into your own unique channeled geometry.
Symmetry. Okay. And then the next one I have.
Whoop. I'm not sure if we lost your sound. Okay, well, we're waiting for your sound to come back. Let me just say personally, and maybe this is the best segue, um, what Nancy's grid has done for me. I like to play games. I like the woo woo. Oh, I think I lost her all the way. Maybe she'll pop back in soon. But if you're open to exploring metaphysical and multidimensional experiences, I was so surprised in playing this game of firing up my grid every day. I just breathe my intention and say, thank you for this day. And whatever change is to come, that I could embrace it. Well, I didn't expect what happened next. And what happened is doors would open, I would get phone calls or emails. People wanted to come and buy my art. I'm a painter. So it was like, oh, I'm not doing anything in marketing. I'm just being me. But somehow my husband and I, we noticed it's like, wow, you're getting calls and emails. Maybe that grid is working. And then throughout the year, it would just be one after the next. So I don't know if I've lost Nancy for good, but I do want to just say thank you for joining us on the Ascension Playground. I'm sure we'll have Nancy come back again to explain her love and fascinations for crystals and all things sacred geometry. Thanks so much for listening. Bye bye for now.